Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirate Yaupanishatsu Dharma Ste Mai Santu Te Mai Santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the context of the dialogue between Sayyid Sanat Kumara and Devarshi Narada, how the teacher is slowly unfolding the vision of the Shruti that what is Ishvara, what is Brahma. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. And that Sarvam certainly includes myself. So that Sarvam Brahma culminates into Aham Brahma. So first we are shown Sarvam Brahma, how everything is Brahma. The order here is beginning from what we experience. The grossest in the ascending order to subtler and subtler until it resolves into Brahma. If everything ultimately resolves into Brahma, that means that Brahman is the upadana karma, material cause, because effects such as a pot would dissolve into clay. That is the rule. That's what we see. So it is shown how ultimately everything culminates. So in the order of subtlety and subtlety and subtlety, what is subtler than the subtlest? Sukshma, Sukshmataram Nityam. That is Sukshma, Sukshmataram. Subtler than even the subtlest. Then Tattvameva Tvame, that you are. So this is the vision that the Upanishad wants to convey to us or wants us to acquire. That I am Brahman. What is Brahman. What is Ishvara. You can say what is divine. What is his order? What is his harmony? What is this in order? What is this right? So this is a vision that the Upanishad seeks to help us see. Only because our present understanding is quite contrary to this. Things are not all right. They should be different from what they are. I'm not saying that Vyavahara is different, but then this is how our conclusions are. And that you are different, I am different, the world is different. Difference with Bheda Buddhi means mutual exclusion, that you exclude me, I exclude you. I am not what you are not what I am. And therefore I am confined to this perimeter, this boundary. And what is beyond this boundary is different from me and I am different from that. So this is our present conclusion that is understandable also. Depending upon how my perception about myself is. That perception of myself determines all other perceptions. And so I am habituated to look upon myself as confined to this boundary of the body and the mind. I am born with that conclusion, that Vedanta says identification, that I am so much, such and such. It is this sense of being bound in a boundary of body or mind or intellect, however great they are, however powerful the body is, however great the intellect is, however great the ego is, and still the sense of being bound or limited or separated, that doesn't go. Very often, the very accomplishments create even a greater sense of separateness. Because I am something, others are not. It is this sense of separateness which is a cause of grief. So what was the reason for sage Narada to have grief? When he was so accomplished, when he accomplished everything that is accomplishable in life, what is the reason why sage Narada should feel grief? Why should he feel santapa? Suffering, mental suffering. Why? And just this conclusion that I am separate from you and I am confined to this is enough to create this manasa santapa. To that we add various other things that are man, woman, this, that, and then that they will only compound this santapa. That means that sage Narada, in spite of all the Vyavaharik Jnana was there, the Vyavahar, he knew everything, and still the notion that I am confined to this body, none of this knowledge ever questions this conclusion of mine. Regardless of what we know, we may be great physicists, great chemists, great scientists, great politician, great, but none of those accomplishments, none of those experiences ever create in me a question that what I take myself to be, maybe there is some problem there that never happens. In fact, my sense of ego becomes more and more, I guess, nourished and nurtured. More accomplishments there are, more nurturing of the sense of ego, sense of smallness or limitedness, separateness. So there is no way that any kind of an accomplishment at any level in our life can ever create in me a question about my conclusion about myself. These days, the educational institutes raise the students with this: you should question everything. And particularly if you go to management school, this is for you should not take anything for granted. Question everything. Which is, I don't object to that. We don't question what is to be questioned. Because he also doesn't know that. He teaches me that I should question everybody else. To assert myself. Who are you to tell me, teach me who I am? I'm quite capable. And there is no, I don't want to dwell upon whether we should question or not question. Because in Vedic tradition, Shraddha is the first element that is required for knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnana. Shraddha means implicit trust in the teacher. I don't question the teacher. I seek to understand what the teacher says. But whatever it is, but they never ever draw attention that you should question who you are, who you take yourself to be. That question never arises. And that is what the Vedantic teacher makes us do. That is what Sanat Kumara makes, that anybody else will do. The Vedantic teacher makes us question our very conclusion about ourselves. Question our conclusions. Not question you or I, question my own, not even question me, question my conclusions about everything, beginning from me and beginning with the world and life and conclusions, opinions, judgments. As long as these things remain intact, so long there is no possibility that I can ever become free from grief. Because every conclusion creates a sense of confinement, a sense of separateness, a sense of being excluded by others, a sense of isolation. And we retain all those things, and then on that we build up variety of things. And this is the Vedantic teacher is one who wants us to look at the very conclusion about ourselves. The science wants us to look at conclusion about the world, which is good. But Vedanta wants us to look at the conclusion about our own self. And here the process of self is unfolded slowly and slowly and slowly. By expanding the vision. Starting from the very grossest thing that I see, that is Brahman. At every level we are told, Nama Brahma iti upasita. So my first perception is the universe is names and forms. And every form corresponds to a name, and therefore what I know can be said to be Nama. So begin from where you are. Nama Brahma iti upasita. Recognize that Nama covers everything. Nama is an unqualified word, means that stands for unqualified Rupa, means Nama, unqualified Nama, covers all the Rupa, covers the whole universe, it pervades everything. And what pervades is called Brahma. Nama Brahma iti upasita. So thus we are being given a different vision, a different conclusion. At the level that I am, this is what I can immediately appreciate. And once that is clear to me that everything is nama, because of its rupa is nama, then I said that nama also is because of what? Vag, it is because of speech. If the organ of speech were not there, if the speech was not there, if the sound was not there, then nama, the articulated sound is called nama. So ghata, pata, matha, each one is this, is an articulated sound, which is the vishesha, particular manifestation of sound in general. And therefore, nama, which is the articulated sound, particular sound, is the result of sound in general, speech in general. So slowly the vishesha is reduced to samanya. The universe is reduced to nama, and then nama is reduced to speech, the words or sound. Because the effect and cause relationship is quite clear there. And then the vag, the speech also, now we are asked, where does the speech originate? What I say, where does it originate? It originates from my mind, a particular vritti of the mind, called manaha. Because I say something when there is intention to say this thing. So intention to say, in this, so all of this is confined to namas, speech, etc. But this applies everywhere. The particular setup of Vedic karma is taken here because the universe is karma phala. This universe of names and forms is the result of karma. As we said yesterday, it is the result of the collective karma of all the jivas and all living beings. It makes sense. Chhandogyopanishad clearly says, that this is the creator, I is the creator, and create the saptan, the whole universe consisting of 7 kinds of food, and different ways of describing the universe. And so, karma is the cause of this creation. So, Jains do not see the need of accepting Ishvara as a creator. Buddhas do not need the Ishvara because they say that mind is the projection, universal projection of the mind. Even Mimamsakas do not see the need of accepting Ishvara as a creator because karma creates everything. So universe is karma phala. That should become clear to us. And each one of us performs karma and therefore collectively the result is universe. Loka is called loka. Loka means also karma phala. So see the universe as nama. See the universe as word or speech. See the universe as intention. But intention again arises. This manaha again is the result of sankalpa. Whereas sankalpa is the ability to determine what is doable, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Before I intend to speak, this applies to any action. Before I perform any action, in my mind this process goes on that I want to perform action. Before that the process goes on as to what is worth performing, what should be performed, what should not be performed in this situation. That kind of a determination or sankalpa takes place. And therefore I do a particular thing in a particular situation. In the kitchen I do things in a certain way. In another place when I am serving, I do things in a certain way. When I eat, I do things in a certain way. When I feed, I do it in a different way. That will be clear. Food is there. So what is kartavya and akartavya? When I am serving the food, then feeding is kartavya, not eating. If that doesn't remain, then I am, if this is nice thing, I may put in my... Then I realize I should not do it. Because that is a habit. see something, general habit is put it in the mouth. That's called the mill is going on round the clock. So we don't see the women eating much. But then your weight seems to be maintained well. Because Swami, the whole day I keep on eating. Because in kitchen, something is here, something is there, something is here. But when you're feeding, then you must determine, should I eat or should I feed? Now, kartavya, akartavya. If that doesn't remain, then very often we lose out. We fail to do exactly what is to be done in the situation. If that clarity of kartavya, akartavya is not there. How that kartavya, akartavya, that is to be determined, that requires what? Chittam. The ability to determine that. All these sukshma, very subtle things that are going on in our mind. So when we perform an action, then stage-wise these things are involved. So sankalpava manasah bhuyan. Chittam vav sankalpad bhuyah. Then, as usual, says Narada asked, Asti Bhagavan Chittad Bhuya iti. O Venerable Sir, is there something subtler than, superior to, greater than Chittam? Chittad Bhuya asti iti. Yes, there is indeed something greater than Chittam. Tanme Bhagavan Bravitu iti. May the Venerable Sir please tell me about that. This is not a formality or a routine. You tell me once, I understand. No, they tell every time. No glossing over. You said once, that's not enough. Every time you should say that. At least say it in the mind. That should be a jignasa. So how the teacher is slowly and slowly creating jignasa stage-wise. You say one thing, that creates a jignasa for the other thing. Then only the other sentence becomes meaningful, otherwise it doesn't. This one sentence that you say should create in the listener's mind the desire to know further. Then only you can keep their attention to yourself. Otherwise, I know. So, Tanme Bhagavan Bravid me, the Venerable Sir, please teach me what is superior to Chittam. And so the next sentence, on page 5, passage 8, Dhyanam vava chittad bhuyah. Dhyanam, meditation is greater than chittam or intelligence. So the definition of meditation, first Bhashyakara gives, Dhyanam nama shastrokta devatadi alambaneshu achala etc. etc. Meaning, maintaining the sajat, the same vritti pravaha on the dhya vishaya, on the object of meditation. What is meditation? A flow of thought. Sajatiya vritti pravaha, a flow of the same thought. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om. Whatever be, that same sajat, the same thought continues for a period of time. That process is called dhyanam. And that alone is called dhyanam when the thought pertains to shastrokta devata. Not just anything, but devata. So that is called dhyanam or upasana when the meditation is upon devata, upon a deity. And also shastrokta, that which is revealed in the shastra, because shastra reveal what Ganapati is and what Hanuman is and what Shankaracharya is and what Shivji is and what is. Not something that you construct in your own mind. Why not, Swami? You can do what you want. But these are all time tested. Shastrokta means that it has been time tested, that it is effective. If you meditate upon that, it is effective. So don't reinvent the wheel, sort of. So take advantage of what is already established. Drishyate cha dhyanasya mahatmyam phalatah. And we see the greatness of this meditation from the result of the meditation. Yatha yogi dhyan nischala bhavati. By meditation, yogi becomes nischala. He becomes firm, becomes motionless, becomes thoughtless, motionless, nischala. Are there any examples of dhyanam? So says here, dhyayati eva prasivi. If you want the examples of meditation, the result of meditation, how nischalata happens. Chalanam is movement, nischalam motionlessness. So motionlessness of the mind also gives rise to motionlessness of the body. Yatha yogi dhyan nischalo bhavati. And the Shruti points out the example, illustrations of the result of meditation. Dhyayativa prasvi, just as earth is meditating, antariksh space is meditating, this heaven is meditating, etc., etc. All of these are nischala, motionless. And therefore, what is the result of this dhyanam? Tasmad deha manushyanam mahattam prapnuvanti. Among human beings, those who accomplish something in their life, wealth, name, fame, power, whatever human beings have accomplished in their life, dhyana padam sahayava, that is all the result of some fraction of meditation or dhyanam. So dhyanam doesn't just mean sitting still. Although stillness is a result of dhyanam. But you cannot become wealthy, famous, etc. by meditation, being still. You become that by performing appropriate action. But that action becomes meaningful or effective when mentally you have that attitude of dhyanam, meaning that mentally you have that stillness, that focus, that concentration. So, ekagrata, what is called dhyana, ekagrata, but then concentration is not just sitting still, that is dhyanam, but you can be thus meditating constantly even while working also. That while working also your mind is focused. There is concentration, there is focus, and that is what enables one to accomplish things. He does not swerve from effort. So there is persistence, there is consistency in the effort. So it is dhyana or meditation in the practical life is that when you are performing an action, that there is focus, there is concentration, and there is consistency, not concentration for a little while and then you get distracted. Consistently you are focused upon what it is that you are doing and what it is that you want. They are the people who have accomplished something. You can go into the stories of any great people, even all these great athletes, swimmers, sprinters, runners, anybody, musicians, artists, scientists, even people who are wealthy, famous. All of them, you find there is a commitment there, a concentration there, and everything is excluded. If you hear the story of a person, how he became an Olympic swimmer, from the age of 4 or something like that, the training started, and nothing but swimming. Everything else is by the way. If he goes to school, by the way. Swimming, swimming, swimming. Tennis, tennis, tennis. Study, study, mathematics, mathematics, science. Whatever it is, the great people of great achievement we are talking about. To find how in their life consistently there is a commitment, there is a focus, there is concentration. And that is the Upanishad says that whenever you find any people of great accomplishments, dhyana padam sahayavayate, that is a result of one fraction of dhyanam. It is dhyanam that you see as the accomplishment in any field of achievement. And gives us also the vyatireka. Those who don't meditate, don't have concentration, don't have commitment, no accomplishment. Athe alpaha kalahinaha pishunaha upavadinaha. Those of little mind, quarrelsome, jealous, slanderous. Meaning there are people who are jealous, who just say things on your face. So these are all little. So those shows littleness of the mind. That there is criticism, there is jealousy, there is quarrelsomeness. All of this shows the littleness of the mind. That shows that he has not grown in maturity, he has not grown in his life. Because there is a lack of dhyanam, concentration, commitment, focus. So therefore, the glory of dhyanam, glory of meditation, ekagrata, concentration, focus, consistent application, which is required while you are performing any action. And in life also, dhyana means a focus or concentration on what it is that you want to accomplish in the life. It's not that this meditation is confined to half an hour, 1 hour, some period of time during the day. It is an ongoing process in the life. And what to talk of moksha? If a swimmer requires that kind of dhyana, or a scientist requires it, then what about a mumukshu? He requires dhyana of the highest order, is it not? Of concentration, consistency, which comes from commitment. That commitment comes from recognizing the value of how it is most so whatever I think is most valuable to me, that is what attracts and retains my attention. And our life also becomes a process. It becomes a process when there is, number one, a recognition of the value of what it is that I want to accomplish. So first discover the value. If moksha is a word, discover how valuable it is. How it is the most valuable. And then it deserves all my dedication. Because if I am convinced that effort is going to give me something that is most valuable, then I can be dedicated. Then I am ready to let go or offer whatever is required, sacrifice what is required. That's how the vairagya comes. But if vairagya is, nothing else remains important. This alone remains important. I don't have to give up anything. Whatever is not important goes away from me. I don't have to give up anything. I just discovered this useless, it's of no use. It's a burden to me, and then I'm not going to retain it. And thus, whatever is accomplished in life is this dhyanam, focus, concentration, application, consistency. Therefore, dhyanam upasvaiti. Hey Narada, may you meditate upon Dhyanam. So he did, I guess. And then, having accomplished that, then comes back. Asti bhagavo dhyanat bhuyahiti. Well, sir, still my grief has not gone. It has been reduced, I am sure. Because larger you become, more you include things, more you expand in your heart, more inclusive you become, happier you become. Because the sense of separatedness becomes, less and less intense by including others. So I am sure that says Narada is progressively discovering freedom from grief, but not that total freedom from grief. So then says Narada recognizes there must be something more. Is there something more, something subtler, something superior? But identifying with it, so he identifies with this at every stage. Identifies with Nama, then Vak, and then Manaha, then Sankalpa, then Chittam, then Dhyanam. And so he finds himself more and more expansive, and the reward is immediate, that more expansive or more bigger you become, more there is satisfaction with oneself, and more there is self-acceptance, and more there is happiness, contentment, and there is more freedom from sadness. So we imagine that sage Narada is progressively discovering self-satisfaction as he identifies with subtler and subtler, and there were vaster and vaster aspects of the creation. And he realized still there is something more, because I am not yet where I want to be, and therefore, is there something greater than, superior to Dhyanam? Sure there is. Tamme Bhagavan Bravidu, may the universal please tell me. And so the next passage, Vijnanam vavadhyanad bhuyah. Vijnanam translated as understanding. And so Bhashyakara's explanation is simple. What is Dhyanam? The traditional meaning of Dhyanam is Shastrokta Devatadi Alambana. Focusing attention upon Devata, etc., which is revealed by Shastra. So it is natural that Shastrartha Visham Jnanam. So to know the Shastra, then only you know what the Shastra is prescribing, is it not so? The Shastra prescribes meditation upon Ganapati. Who is Ganapati? What about Ganapati? Then you should know, then only you can meditate. So Dhyanam or meditation presupposes knowledge of what you are meditating upon. Is it not so? I used to make always jokes, meaningless sound. You know why? Because many years ago there was this whole movement of initiating people into giving them the mantras which are meaningless sound. All Bij mantras are like that. Anyway, I will not comment upon anything or anybody or even Puja Swami, because sometimes you say things for making fun, that's all. But if the sound is meaningless, if the Nama is meaningless, then how will your mind connect with it? The human mind can connect with something which is meaningful to me, not only meaningful, but meaningful to me. I should always come, that you should remember. Therefore, the Vijnanam is required. The Shastra does reveal what are the objects of meditation. You meditate upon various things. So different things are told at different places. I should know what it means and what it means to me. Not understand that is not enough to understand what a thing means. It is important to also recognize what it means to me. That is when the real interest will come. You see, this history and geography, I never got interested. I skipped those classes. I shouldn't tell you, but that's what it is. We had an option of skipping some courses which we thought were not scoring classes. So history and geography, and I skipped that. Then I regretted later on as to what I had missed. But that time what was important was getting marks, etc. Because I never found history, so what? Akbar did this and this fellow did that, and all these charts are there, lines are there. What is geography? The graphs are there, maps are there, rivers are there. Got never interested. After many years, when I was in New York City, sitting in my office, and I had a map of the world, and looking at the world map, then I realized how geography creates history. Because this country is adjoining the other country, this fellow is wealthy, that fellow wants, how you attack. So, how the geography, because he would not go there to attack. Usually, you attack people around and capture those things. There are ambitious people who go anywhere, that also, because that how geography creates history, history creates geography, and how it affects me, what I am right now. Why is it so? Why this country is what it is, what divided, and all sorts of things the history has created, this geography, is it not so? I realized then that history is relevant to me. When I found that it affects me, then it became interesting, because I am interested in myself. Any topic becomes meaningful, interesting to me when I see its connection with me. So if you want to teach your students anything, like Sanskrit, most boring subject, at least we were coming in the school. Because Sanskrit is taught through the medium of grammar. That's the worst way of teaching a language. We learn languages, our mother tongue, etc. Nobody taught. I still don't know grammar properly of the language that I am speaking. Language is communicated by communication, That's the way it is learned. But nobody can speak Sanskrit anyway. Our teachers could not speak, so therefore they only communicate through grammar. So Sanskrit was, one of the things, people didn't take any interest. I did because it was scoring subject. Again, it related to me. But there are teachers who inspire students in geography, history, Sanskrit, anything. When those teachers can connect the listener to what it is that they want to learn, they should learn. You connect history with him or her, the student. Geography, sociology, whatever, science. And that is the creativity of the teacher. It is teacher's job to create an interest in the student. You can complain, of course, they are not interested, they all, because when you go to a college in Ahmedabad, you see 90% of people standing out there, outside, on their scooter, sitting, all kinds of things. Hardly few people are in the class. This generation is not interested in learning at all. But there are some teachers whose classes are crowded. Exceptions. That means they must be doing something. And the one that I am most interested in is myself. If the teacher can show the connection of what is and how it affects me and how it benefits me, how it's connected to me. That way Vedanta is very easy because it is about the self. Other subjects are about non-self. And still to show the connection of those things with me, with my ego, with my individuality, with my self-interest, because everybody has self-interest. So that is how not only should I know, but I should know something as it relates to me. Otherwise it comes from, I can't remember those things. Nobody can remember. I can remember only myself. And therefore things connected to me I can remember. Otherwise it comes and goes. Vijnanam vava dhyanat bhuyah. That dhyanam is possible provided I have vijnanam. I have the knowledge of what it is that I am meditating upon. Tatya dhyana karanatvad dhyanat bhuyastvam. So this vijnanam, that knowledge or understanding of what I am meditating upon, is the reason or the background for meditation, is not cause for meditation, but required for meditation. And therefore it is superior to, because without that vijnana, meditation cannot take place. And therefore vijnana is superior to meditation. Vijnane Rugvedam Janati, then I know the Shastra, then I know what the Shastra says, and I know what it is that I have to learn, what I have to meditate upon, etc. And by Vijnanam, one knows everything. Whatever is knowable. Deva Vidyam, Brahma Vidyam, Bhuta Vidyam, Kshatra Vidyam, Nakshatra Vidyam. Everything is again, listed here. And a few things are added also. Devam cha, Prasubam cha, Vayam cha, Akasham cha, Apascha, Tejascha, Devamscha, Manusyamscha, Pasumscha, Vayamsi, Truna Vanaspatim, Swapadhan, Kita Patangadi, Pipilikadikam, Dharmam, Adharmam, etc. Everything one knows by Vijnana. What is Dharma? What is Adharma? Satyam cha, Amritam cha, Sadhu cha, Asadhu cha, etc. Vijnana upasva. Therefore here Narada meditated upon Vijnana. Asti bhagavo vijnanat bhuya iti. Oh Venerable Sir, is there something superior to vijnanam? Vijnanat bhuyasti. Indeed, there is something superior to vijnanam. Tanmay Bhagavan pravitu iti. Every time they keep on saying this, you get bored. Every time he repeats Rigveda, Yajurveda, everything is repeated. Particularly in Chhandogyopanishad, we find it goes on and on and on. We turn the pages. I know, you don't have to tell me. Well, you think you know, but it must be imprinted here. So then the next one here. Balam vava vijnanat bhuyah. Strength is surely greater than knowledge. Apiya shatam vijnanavatam eko balavan akampayate, because even there are 100 fellows who are knowledgeable, one strong fellow will make them shudder, So, just a Vyavaharic example is given. But then, that is not quite the progress. So Bhashyakara explains, Balamiti, what is meant by balam or strength in this particular context? Annopayogajanitam manasa vigne pratibhana samarthyam. The ability to comprehend. When does vijnanam, when does knowledge take place? When do you know something? When a sentence is uttered, you know the meaning of that sentence. Oh, I know, Swami, this comes from Chhandogyopanishad. Oh, this comes from Kathopanishad. So, this is what is meant by here balam. Manasah vijneye pratibhana samarthyam. The ability to comprehend what is to be known. So meditation is possible when vijnanam or knowledge is there, but knowledge is possible when this ability to comprehend. Here is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, the source of knowledge is there. But then we should be able to comprehend what it is that it says. Then only knowledge can take place, isn't it? When somebody says something or you read something, study something, so nothing goes in there. In the class it goes above or below, etc., but happens. Sometimes not in a mood and therefore also. What went on? Why is everybody laughing? All of a sudden he wakes up. But we can understand something provided that is the ability to comprehend what we are listening to, what we are reading, what we are studying, what we are watching. I look at the tree, what is this? Swami, I told you 15 times already, I ask him every time, which is this tree? I am always a fresh student as far as those things are concerned. I told you 15 times. This is people tree. All right, thank you. So the tree is there, I can't comprehend. So I don't know what it is. The flower is there. Oh, wonderful. I don't know the name. So when you cannot comprehend, you do not know what it is, isn't it? It's there in front of you. You hear something, you see something, you experience something. But in order to understand what it is, requires the ability to comprehend. That is called balam here. And the Upanishad explains that balam or the ability of comprehension in the mind comes from annam, from the food. Annamayami somya manaha in Chhandogyopanishad, here itself, this is in the 6th chapter was said, that manaha is the result of the subtle aspect of food. Annam ashitam trida bhavati. Then the food that we eat gets divided into 3 parts. The gross, the middle, the subtle. The gross part of the food is rejected. The middle part of the food becomes flesh, etc. And the subtle part of the food becomes mind, nourishes the mind, nurtures the mind. This is what they tell us. As an experiment. So Shvetaketu understood several things, but this he could not quite understand. What is the connection between food and the mind? Other things also were told, which he understood, but this he could not. So he says, sir, I have difficulty in grasping this. So then a practical, experiment was done. Shvetaketu. So they say that our mind is made of 16 kala, 16 digits or 16 parts, which are all sustained or nourished by food. So Shvetaketu, please do one thing, observe a fast for 15 days. Don't eat anything for 15 days. Drink water as much as you want because water sustains prana. Prana apomaya prana. The prana is sustained by water. Mind is sustained by food. Speech is sustained by fire. So drink water to the heart's content so that your prana is sustained, but don't eat food. After 15 days, Shvetaketu returned to the teacher. And teacher says, so say this portion of Rig Veda. What? Yajurveda. This fellow who could rattle out everything could not repeat a single passage. Oh, sir, this doesn't occur to me. All right, now go home, go back and eat your food. They eat the food. So one kala remained, 16 of the 16, one kala remained. 15 days fasting, the 15 kalas of the mind supposedly went away, one remained. So when if there is one little fire, one ember, then also if you put that ember in the dried grass, then slowly it picks up into the fire. So one color remains. Then eat some food, then slowly the fire will come and all the 16 colors will come back to you. And when Svetakadu came back, he just rattled out whatever the teacher said, Rigveda, Yajurveda. I mean, he got his faculties back. This is the experiment. To practically establish how it is a food that nourishes the mind. Don't ask me question about this, okay? This is what he said. I just say what he said there. Is what you believe, Swami? No, that may be a different matter. But this is what he said. That annam, that is the next stage will be annam. But the reason I am telling the story is that mind is nourished by food. And therefore the capacity of the mind to comprehend, which was called, vijnanam, that ability to comprehend is there provided the food provides that ability. Therefore, that balam, ability to comprehend, that next step will be food. But balam is the ability to comprehend, then only comprehension can take place, then only meditation can take place, then subsequent things can take place. So, manasa vijñe pratibhana samarthyam. Anasanat. So, when Svetaketu did not eat anything, he could not comprehend Rigveda, Yajurveda, etc. He could not comprehend anything. Rugvadini navaima pratibhanti bhoho. Svetaketu pleaded his helplessness. Oh, sir, Rigveda doesn't come to my mind. It doesn't strike in my mind. And further also, sayada bali bhavati atha utthata bhavati, uttishtan paricharita bhavati, parichan upasatta bhavati, upasidan drashta bhavati, shrota bhavati, manta bhavati, bodha bhavati, karta bhavati, vijñata bhavati. If balam is there in the body, then uttishtan, he stands up. For serving the Guru, for example, you must have the basic balam in your mind and body. That utthata bhavati, he stands up. Uttishtan paricharita bhavati, having stood up, then he serves the teacher. Whatever is done to be done, he does. Parichan upasatta bhavati. When you serve the teacher, then slowly you acquire his confidence, his affection, etc. and go closer. Upasatta bhavati. Then he sits near the teacher. Upasidan drashta bhavati. When he sits near, then he drashta bhavati. He sees, observes what the teacher is, what does he say, what does he do, how does he interact, etc., etc. All part of learning process. Shrota bhavati. People come, they ask questions, and the teacher is saying something, and therefore this one who is sitting nearby beside him also sees everything, hears everything. Manta bhavati. Or shrota bhavati, listens to what the teacher teaches, then manta bhavati, and then this is how it is. What the teacher said, yes, it makes sense. he applies his own reasoning, and that's how mananam takes place. Bodha bhavati, that is how he becomes the knower. So balam is there, the strength is there, then all other steps can happen. Oh, Swami, I'm sorry, I just said my knee operation. Don't worry. But then I can't stand, I can't do things. Because I have to bend down, I have to do various things in serving. Therefore, yada bali bhavati, asa utthada bhavati. Utthada stands up means able to do what is required, to run around, not only standing up, running around also. In olden days, teachers were quite hard taskmasters, They'll deliberately ask you to do something. Oh, I forgot my glasses there, please bring them. He deliberately leaves there, And this was to go all the way somewhere. Oh, the visitor has come. Get that shawl. Get this, get that. This fellow is always on his feet, runs around here and there. I guess in the olden days, that's how the teachers were putting them to test. As to, how sincere this fellow is. How much he can do. How he does it. How does he go? How does he come? How does he bring the shawl? How does he place it? How does he do it? It's a training program. It's a hard taskmaster. But more he passes the test, closer he comes to the teacher. And slowly he can slip closer because there is a circle around, right away you may not be able to get near. Upasatta bhavati. He also gets inner circle and closer. So he has done the privileges of watching, hearing, etc., etc. Then a time comes when he listens, becomes Shrota, meaning that Shravanam takes place, Manta, Mananam takes place, Bodha, knowledge takes place. Karta, then he does what he has learned, Vijñāta bhavati. So this is the immediate benefits of Balam. Therefore, Balam, when the teacher says Balam upasvayati, you meditate upon Balam as Brahma, you can meditate upon something only when it is great or glorious. So glories of Balam are being described here. It's called extolling Balam. In each case we find here the teacher describes the glory of that which is to be meditated upon. Everywhere. When they ask us to meditate upon something, they will always describe how great it is. Because that is how my mind is inspired to meditate. So meditation upon something or focusing on something requires an inspiration in my mind. I am inspired to do something, motivated to do something, when I know it is something worthwhile that I am going to do. And it's worthwhile when it is great. So greatness is always described. In each case, the greatness of that entity is described before the teacher says the Balam upasva, Nam upasva. Whenever meditation is prescribed, also the Arthavada, the glory also is stated there. And so, you can see the manifestation of Balam everywhere. Balena vai prashavi tishtati. That prashavi tishtati. The earth stands where it is. They thought it is standing anyway, so earth stands. Antariksham tishtati. The space stands. Balena dyauhu, the heavens stand. Parvataha, the mountains are standing. Dev Manusyaha, Pashavaha, Vayam, all of these are what they are. And they are doing what they are required to do in the scheme of things, in the universal scheme of things, is because each one of them possesses Balam. So recognize how Balam is Prithvi, Antariksham, etc. How Balam alone is manifest as this universe. How Balam pervades everything, therefore it is Brahman, therefore we meditate upon Balam as Brahman. Balam upasvaiti. That's how the teaching continues, will continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamādaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.